All right, so let's look at the corporate system and how banking emerged in the Gilded Age. So the corporate system is going to enable industries to grow exponentially. So as industries expanding, oil and steel and everything else, we need the business models to sort of keep up with that expansion and to allow it to continue to expand. So let's look at what a corporation is and why they came about. So factories, industries, they need more capital. They need more money to expand. The size of the company has kind of hit its peak where, they're producing what they can produce, making as much profits as they can. So how do they continue to grow? How do they continue to expand? They adopt this corporate model. And it's an effort to get more money, to get more material, more resources, pay more laborers, advertise, really expand and grow. Um, so the way a corporate system works is you kind of give ownership to investors, and these investors are buying into the company, into the corporation by purchasing stock. And stock is just a certificate that shows that you own a portion of that business. Um, so, say me, I would purchase stock in, say, Carnegie Steel. Carnegie would then use the money from the sale of that stock to reinvest into Carnegie Steel. He would use it to purchase more land, to build a new Bessemer process plant, new steel plant, whatever, right? So it's just a way for them to gain more capital to reinvest into the company. Um, this is this is a good way to gain more capital real quick. The investors aren't responsible for the corporation's debt. There's less risk than just full outright private ownership of that business. So the banking industry is also expanding during this time period too. They're going to be giving out loans to the different industrial based companies, to steel, to oil, to everyone else, so that they can continue to grow. Um, the other aspect of banking and stock markets, the common tactic was to purchase these stocks at its lowest price point. Buy low, sell high. That's kind of the general motto of the stock market, the general strategy of what you want to do to achieve more profits from your stocks. Um, what industrialists were doing, people like JP Morgan and big bankers and people who were heavily invested in the stock market, they would purchase um, as much of the troubled stock as they could get. So stock that was valued really, really low until they got to a point where they were the majority shareholder. This would essentially put them on the board of directors. They would be in charge of all of the financial decisions for the corporation. And then they would try and turn the stocks around, try and turn the company, the corporation around so that it was profitable again. Um, and once they were able to do this, they could sort of create more of a monopoly. Another common tactic with this would be to create the formation of trusts. So a trust is like a group of different corporations run by a single board. Uh, so again, if you could buy out sort of the majority of stocks of your rivals, you could kind of bring them into the fold of your trust, and they're no longer your rivals. They're sort of like assets to your corporation. So my steel company buys out, the majority of stock of another steel company. Now, because I own the majority of the portions of their company, the stocks, I technically get to dictate those big decisions on how that company is run. Um, the problem with this, of course, is that it's another tactic to gaining monopolies. And monopolies, of course, are bad because it reduces competition. And once those trusts were formed, it creates a scenario where it's really, really hard for other businesses or corporations to compete with the trust. Here's an example. So prior to the corporate system, each steel company in this example was run independently, and they're competing against all the other companies, A, B, C, D, and E, right? Um, if company A fails, all of the risk, all of the failure is on company A. Um, but once we introduce this corporate model, kind of spread some of that risk out. Um, you know, this also created a scenario where competition was emerging, and competition is good. Company A, B, C, D, and E here are all trying to compete for the same business, They're trying to get as many people to buy, so they have to keep their prices competitive. They have to put out good products, and this is a good thing. But as we start to see monopolies develop, those things kind of go the wayside. So with a trust, uh, when all of these corporations start to join together and pool their resources, when all of company A, B, and C pool their resources, their stocks, they're essentially a trust, right? So in this scenario, let's say company A uh, buys out the majority stocks of B, C, and D. Well, now they're kind of the board of directors. They're making all the big decisions essentially for their rivals. A, B, C, and D is now the trust. All the resources that A, B, C, and D combined helps them, you know, earn more profits, helps them drive out their competitors. Company E is relying just on Company E's own resources, what they can turn for profits, what resources they have available, what capital goods, like the things that they use to make steel in this case, they're relying on just what they have. But A, B, C, and D takes all of their resources, pools them together, making them more efficient, more productive, uh, able to put out more product, and they can do it more efficiently. They could probably drop the price of theirs. So it's really hard for company E to compete against the team, the trust that is A, B, C, and D because of all of the resources that they have together here. So again, this is the goal of the trust. By uniting and bringing in all the resources, uh, they can continue to drive out their competitors, and they can essentially gain more monopolies. So monopolies, you can go the vertical integration route, the horizontal route, and you can start to form these trusts and buy out majority stocks too to help gain monopolies.